There is not a library in Soweto at all, not one. Do you know what load shedding is?
No, no, I did not.
Oh, so load shedding is scheduled power outages by the government. Wow, most teachers operate without what they need. There are no, like, what is it? 8% of schools in the whole South Africa have libraries, so that means 92% of schools don't. 100% of kids in South Africa are affected by load shedding. So they have
Wow.
power power outages every day. The government just moved it up to a level 6, which means they added 2 more hours onto that schedule. So imagine you forgot to charge your laptop tonight. What we gonna do? Because I know I'm charging my phone right now.
It's
You
over.
Yeah, it's over. So my thing is putting a book in a child's hand is
That's
literally
major.
it is. It's so simple though. But we got an overflow. Like how many books you got, y'all? You ain't that you aren't reading or are sitting collecting dust. I know. Go ahead, give them up. Come on.
I'm looking at.
It's medium, ghetto, intelligent, her conversation, so won't you come hang with the gang? Relatable topics from coming up broke to the nonsense, they all come along with these dames. From trust funds to trapping, we cover it all in with laughter, so won't you come grab you a seat? From Oso, Othello, you know that we medium, ghetto, and nothing can even compete.
So, welcome to Medium Ghetto Podcast with your host Shamar, and today we got Jessica. Is it Amaro?
Amaro.
Amaro. I always add extras to the simplest names. So, how you been today?
Today it's been a long day, but we're here. It's okay. A very long day.
So, you getting the kids ready for school?
I am. And I actually said to my daughter, because right before this podcast, we were out actually shopping. And I'm like, this is the least prepared I've ever been for a school year. And it's not because we don't have the resources, because we've been doing between Miami, between running back and forth to Atlanta. I live in Charleston. It
Oh
is
wow.
like I literally, my daughter right now at this moment, she has her brother's school supply list in her hand. We are Amazoning everything that we did not get. I am done. We, like clothes, stuff like that. We good. We shop all the time. But literally school, yeah. It's been a busy summer. Very busy summer.
That's what's up. So, where have you been all summer? Like,
Let's just talk about this like the last 365 days, starting with South Africa, um, New Orleans, Atlanta, several. I've been in Atlanta probably, I live in Charleston probably 9 times this year.
nine
Maybe
times.
Miami, running back and forth to Charlotte, just a little bit of everywhere. I do DC. I travel with my books a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of but I also do a lot of community work. I have a literacy mission where we take books over to South Africa. So that's taken me so many different places this year.
Oh wow. Yeah, I wanted to know more about that. So, give me a little bit of a drop of your background and how did you get and become an author?
Okay, so my background is actually mental health, but I've always been a writer. Like most of us in childhood, you know how you really like doing something and then you get
Mm-hmm.
like, I can't make no money doing this. Let me pick a career. So I went into mental health. I was the director of actually director for a national behavior care company training. In my career, I've trained over 3,000 therapists.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that's the direction I wanted to go. I saw that there was a need in my field. So before actually bowing out, I created my Don't Become Your Bullshit book series.
Mm.
So Don't Become Your Bullshit is literally all about taking control of the dysfunction in your life. One of the things that I realized is that a lot of people wanted to get help, wanted to get therapy, but they didn't know how to articulate what was going on. And if you've never said it to yourself before, I'm telling you, it is extremely hard to be able to say it to someone else. So I wanted to create something for people like me and you that look like me and you
Mm-hmm.
to be able to pick up and say, okay, this is my starting place. So that's how I.
Okay.
Oh, you said Africa though. So, but it's all connected. So, I host these writing retreats. I've always hosted retreats, whether they were for personal development, but I started doing these writing retreats. So I evolved my women's retreats into writing retreats.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there and I had this idea to begin doing these brown girl guidebooks. So the night before, we were there for 4 days. The night before, everyone should be getting ready to pack, but there's this huge table in this house up in the mountains in Asheville. And I look around and everyone's just working. I'm like, y'all gotta get, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Most of y'all gotta drive home tomorrow. Nobody wanted to stop working. I'm like, you know what? I had this idea to do these guidebooks as a collaborative experience. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna do it. And then I'm driving home. I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I created this thing called the Brown Girl Guidebooks, where I work with other brown women, 7 to 8 other brown women. We have a centralized theme. The first one to start with self-love, and we're giving our stories, but we're also giving, it's a workbook. So we literally give you tips, work that you can do to work on yourself. So one of the women that published that book that was in the collaborative with me, she actually wasn't able to launch with us because she was teaching in South Africa. So she took books over to South Africa with her. Long story short, the University of Johannesburg, they put out a book in their library.
Oh,
She gave
wow.
Africa, and I got an email saying, "Hey, we want to invite you out to the Jolly Book Fair. This is something you should be a part of." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is a scam." I'll be honest, first thought, they trying to scam me. This ain't it. So I literally did my research. I called my husband. This was like the end of July. I was like, I want to go to Africa. And he told me about everything I was looking at. I was like, I want to go to Africa, but I guess I'll wait till next year. And he was like, why do you have to wait? And I'm like, you're right. Why do I have to wait? So I asked 6 of my friends to go with me. Only one went with me. Um, I had an amazing time. We jumped in and out of Ubers, wound up in a black car with some escorts to be able to help us around. I got to teach, I got to do so many things when I was in South Africa. And I realized that there was a need. So actually, to be totally honest and transparent, I came back and I was like, it was just bothering me. I'm gonna send some books over there. I'm gonna ask my friends. Then I was like, well, you know what? If I was able to collect 2,000 books, 3,000 books, 3,000 books, I'll be able to make a huge dent. So I put a call to action on one of my groups on social media. I got over 800 responses.
Oh, wow.
22 people, actually it's 24 now, but 22 people to commit to travel to South Africa with me. Before we even launched the book drives, we had collected over 3,000 books. As of today, we've collected 12,627 books.
Wait, so let me get this straight. So the mission is to pretty much collect books for like people in South Africa
Yeah.
who don't
And we're
actually have
actually,
access to like information and
yep,
books.
yep. So we're taking those books over there. We're going to an orphanage in 3 schools, and we're part of the Jazzy Book Fair this year. But in October, I'll be traveling with 20, I think we have 25 other people to South Africa to actually distribute those books. So we're not just sending books. We're actually going over there to distribute these books to make sure that there's a book in every child's hand.
Oh, wow. So that's a lot. But
It wasn't though.
uh, it
Like
sounds like that's a huge thing.
it's
You're
not.
saying it so casually.
Because it didn't start out as a huge thing. Like, like you always hear these motivational speakers be like, oh, just do one little thing and it's going to turn into something big. That's what happened. Like, I had this little old idea, and I'm good at organization. So, like, I don't have a travel agent. Everything that we're doing, the safari, the schools, the company that takes us around, the hotel, I negotiated every single contract that I have.
Oh, wow. But I got a question.
Go ahead.
So, in what part of South Africa is it, or just the region of South Africa? What parts have you been?
We are staying in Johannesburg. So this is a mission trip with luxury accommodations because I don't believe you got to sleep in the trenches to do good works. So we're
Hmm.
over in Arches in South Africa, but the work that we're doing is in Soweto.
So, wait up.
Um, there is not a library in Soweto at all, not one. Do you know what load shedding is?
No, no, I do not.
Oh, so load shedding is scheduled power outages by the government. Wow, most teachers operate without what they need. There are no, like, what is it? 8% of schools in the whole South Africa have libraries, so that means 92% of schools don't. 100% of kids in South Africa are affected by load shedding. So they have
Wow.
power outages every day. The government just moved it up to a level 6, which means they added 2 more hours onto that schedule. So imagine you forgot to charge your laptop tonight. What we gonna do? Because I know I'm charging my phone right now.
It's
You
over.
Yeah, it's over. So my thing is putting a book in a child's hand is
That's
literally
major.
it is. It's so simple though. But we got an overflow. Like how many books you got, y'all, you aren't reading or are sitting collecting dust? I know. Go ahead, give them up. Come on.
I'm looking at. I'm using 3 of them to hold the mic up. I mean the what they call that? My camera up.
Well, you can keep those ones.
I looked at my bookshelf. I was like, those are all new books.
I don't know, but so it started with my Don't Become Your Bullshit book,
Hmm.
but it's to multiple publications. I think a lot of people, so I own a full service publishing company, but people think that it's all about literally just publishing one thing. It really is. It starts with just one thing. It starts with one idea. Like I tell people all the time that don't know what they want to do, like just do something and it really will turn into something else. I have had a series of failures and wins throughout my life. And if you told me 10 years ago I would own a publishing company, I would have several books, because I always just wanted to write one. I would have
Mhm.
several books, and this is what I would be doing. If you told me March 28th, I would literally quit my job during a conversation, you, I would have been like, yeah, you
So
lying.
so when did you quit your job? What year?
This is what happened. So I was doing like everything at once. So actually a couple months before I got the opportunity to go to South Africa. But I was doing both. I was very transparent about my job, about me launching the Don't Become Your Bullshit brand. They knew about it. My director even came to my launch. So by the end of the year, I had 3 books actually in that series. So the conversation actually went, we need you to do, I was already doing training. I was traveling like almost every day of the week. We did some of it online, but I was literally building out training programs for South Carolina and other offices. And they had an opportunity to expand, and I wanted more money. They didn't want to give it to me. They
That's how it
wanted
usually
a lot
goes.
more work.
That's how you more work. Was it a learning opportunity or
Yeah,
a stretch position they call it?
yeah. So first I was told you can't just say no. Well, I am, and you have to deal with it. And then the second part of it, we were having a conversation. I remember it like it was yesterday. So my director was like, I know you got those little books, but you're gonna have to figure this out.
Those
And
little
I don't remember
books.
my exact response, but she said to me, you know, you don't have to do this. And I said, yeah, you're right. I don't have to do this. So I'm done. And that was it. And I cried afterwards. Oh, I cried hard. Like I'm giving up all this money I do get, this consistent income. Oh, I cried hard afterwards. But I like the universe, like in that moment, I knew that's what I needed to do. And everything after that is history. So that was March 28th of 2022. So I
Oh
just,
wow, that's recent.
but I balance both. Like, so I'm not that person that be like, you got an idea, just go quit your job. No, no, no. I ain't
No,
saying.
no, don't do that.
Like I was at a breaking point where I had to choose my business over growing some, like literally, I had to choose my business over growing someone else's business. The company I was working for, a national behavior company, they had this contract with the Department of Social Services in our area. This was a multi-million-dollar contract. They wanted me to help build out this program. There's no way, and I even offered them to do it for money. So like my thing is, but that wasn't enough. Like I literally needed to leave to be able to grow what I was doing. In Africa,
Exactly.
offices, everything happened after that.
All right. So it's so when what year did you come up with your book?
So I stuck. Oh gosh, the first one,
Yeah.
because I got like 6. So the
Oh
very
my
first
God.
bullshit I published in 2020.
2020.
Um, I published in 2020. I put it together in 2020. I launched in 2021. It took me 3 years to write. I wrote. Let me tell you how this works. I wrote chapter 1 in like
Mm-hmm.
2017, 2016, and I put it down for the whole year and never touched it again.
Wow.
I know, but I don't do that no more. But like I literally
So
just
you didn't become your bullshit and you fixed
I
fixed your ways.
bullshit all day. I like could not. But my thing is, so one of my books, I have another book called Ready, Set, Plan, Then Write. The reason I was able to get through this is I finally decided to like stop trying to write and actually create a plan to write.
Mm.
And now that I create plans in my book, like number 7, 6, 7, somewhere around there, and I got a couple pretty much done right now. I keep rolling them out. But literally, I'm also about high quality. Like I think one thing that we do in self-publishing, and I don't know, publishing company, is that we take a backseat to high quality. We don't think that our books can look as good as the books in Barnes and Noble and other places. Well, I'm in Barnes and Noble, I'm in Walmart, I'm Amazon, but they're literally we have to up our game. You want to be the authority, you want to be an author, you're gonna have to go high quality.
How so were you like how you making it look so high quality? Like what's the secret here?
My team. Oh, you want to see another one? Look, let me show you this one too. Hold on, one up. My
Oh
team.
snap.
You got to hire the right people. I think what happens sometimes we try to do it all, but I
Mm-hmm.
realized early on I couldn't do it all. I need to understand how it's all done, but I don't need to do it all. So I have a team of formatters. I have a team of designers. I have a team. Like I
Oh
know
wow.
for my people that are using Fiverr right now, pull your people off Fiverr. You really want to work with them, you need to figure out a way to pull them off Fiverr. You think hard enough, you'll figure it out. You use Upwork, figure out a way to use them off of that platform because that's when you really do get control. I've met a lot of people different places, even word of mouth. A lot of people I work with are international, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if we have Every person I work with, we video chat once a week. I got a
Oh
whole
wow.
so my thing is this concept that we can't afford to do it or we can't have a team. Now you're not looking in the right place. Build it
You're
out.
not.
Build it
All right,
out.
but got quick questions, right? So this is what I thought. I was reading your book this morning. I was getting through it. I'm like halfway through the first chapter. It's a lot in chapter 1. I was like, man, I got a lot of thinking to do. So, and you said you were what is self therapy? So I know what help is, but I feel like self therapy is something much deeper.
Self therapy is actually giving you the tools to begin working on yourself in a way that is therapeutically centered. So,
Mhm.
based on something called cognitive behavioral therapy, which is all about processing your feelings. So I'm giving, like, you read it, so it's narrated. So I give you some of my story, and then I tell you, I literally walk you through moving forward. What does it look like to actually use this tool? So self therapy is literally getting you ready to sit in a chair if you choose to. It's giving you all those tools, because if you've ever done therapy or you decide to do after doing my book, or if you've already been in therapy, it is that same rhythm. It is literally, we're talking, you're telling that person what's going on, that you're doing an emotional check-in. There's some type of exercise your therapist is going to hand you, and then literally I'm fast forwarding. So usually when you bring that exercise to that therapist, you guys talk through it, they give you an exercise to begin moving forward, and they ask you to begin to reflect. So I'm giving you
Okay.
all, I tell everybody, do not rush through this book. You literally need to go through a chapter at a time. I am literally working on dividing it up for that same reason. I think people get really I didn't realize how overwhelmed people would get and how many inbox messages I get. Like, I just did the self assessment and my life is crap. Like, somebody literally sent me a message the other
It's
day.
the truth though. I did it too. I was like, I felt what I was reading already, but everything looks so great from the outside. One big thing is like how important is an emotional check-in with yourself? How important is an emotional check-in?
It is the most important thing that you can do, and I write about it in the book. But literally, you got to check yourself before you start doing the work. Like, my thing is, what we put forth is dictated by how we feel. And if you're in a shitty mood, don't pick this book up. If you having a really rough day, and and in your thought process it's not going to make you feel better to work on it, then don't
Mhm.
do it. Like, but sometimes you could be in a shitty place and be like, you know what, if I do this work I'm gonna feel better. But you got to check yourself. You got to have that conversation with yourself. So let's say you pick it up and you are in a bad mood today. I'm worried today, I'm anxious. Then you have to decide, okay, you know what am I going to do with this anxiety? Am I going to, wall it, like, am I going to let it sit today and work tomorrow, or am I going to push through? If you're going to push through, to open the book. But you have to make a conscious decision to move forward. That's why the emotional check-in is in each chapter. Like, literally, it's the beginning of everything that you're gonna do.
All right,
So
bet. Because I was feeling anxious. I put anxious on mine.
that's a common emotion, plus. Like, that's not literally, it's but that's
I
another thing.
feel,
Around people, we're not taught how to deal with anxiety. Like, we got everybody throwing out these catchphrases, and we're talking about, building these strong mental health platforms, and everybody's talking about take care of your mental health, but nobody's telling you how.
exactly.
Like,
Like,
nobody's giving you the
how do
tools.
I deal with my anxiety? First of all, I think anxiety is the American emotion at this point. With this busy world, things are always happening. You always feel. I felt so busy, and that's why I was feeling anxious. That's why I said, "Oh, why I'm anxious is because I feel so busy." But then I thought about it more, and I was like, "I'm busy because I'm blessed enough to have all these opportunities."
So, you haven't gotten to that chapter yet, but there's a chapter that we literally go on reframing your thinking.
Mm,
Like, it's in the book. Like, literally, what you just did. You're already ahead. Like, you got to reframe your thinking, but we literally get in our own way. And I think there are way more emotions than anxiety, than being anxious. We can start with identifying it as being anxious, but are you anxious or are you overwhelmed? Are you anxious, or are you worried? Like, my thing is literally pinpoint. So I haven't. So the Don't Become Your Bullshit series, I need to send you the whole series. There's a bedtime journal where we
mm-hmm.
assess how you feel, and then the next step is like literally being able to answer questions about how you went through the day. So you have to put your thoughts to rest. Like, you have to put your day to rest. It's like a 5-minute concept that I came up with every day to begin assessing your feelings and put your thoughts to rest. And I think that's one thing that we don't do. And I'm be honest, I struggle with that. I struggle really bad. You ever, like, I dream about my next day sometimes.
I
That's
do that too. It's really bad. Like right now, I'm thinking about what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm thinking about what I'm doing Saturday. I'm thinking about what I'm doing Sunday. I'm thinking what I'm doing Monday, Tuesday, and that's just not right.
Yeah, we got to figure out a way to reconcile with that. So my thing is, when I journal, I don't have that issue because one of the things in the journal is your non-negotiables. I tell myself, okay, I have to do this tomorrow, and that puts my thoughts to rest. When I don't journal, I literally struggle to sleep, and sometimes I don't feel like it. Like, let me be very honest. I create these books, but sometimes I don't feel like doing the work, and that's a
Mm,
pressing where we are. Like, my thing is, so I do this thing with if I don't journal at night, I have to journal in the morning because now I know I put that mandate on myself. So I might do an early morning journal next. But lately, I've been just journaling in the morning when I probably should be doing it at night. But you have to figure out what works, like what works for you. And literally, we're like, I think everybody thinks as healing as like a linear thing. Like, oh, you healed, you good. Like, or like, oh, I thought she was healed. It don't work like that. My thing is, you will always be triggered by the things that bothered you in the past. It's about figuring out ways to deal with those things and work through them and literally pull
hmm
yourself out of situations that will trigger you and not walk into places you know that are going to bother your mental health. If it's going to bother, if you know your aunt and your cousin, they literally gonna roast you from the moment you walk in the door to the moment you walk out, and it really leaves you in a bad place when you leave. Stop walking through that door.
I felt that one. All right. So, question: do you think it's okay? So, I see a lot of times on social media in this new world we live in of social media that people don't believe it's okay to be triggered. Is it okay to also? Is it okay to be insecure?
Yeah. So, good. So, me and a friend had a conversation earlier this week about that. Yes, that's natural. Like I thought people keep doing this thing lately. Like, you don't need validation. You're just insecure. We need validation. When you were in kindergarten, what did your teacher do if you did a good job? Give you a what?
A
Or a star?
a
Or
star. There it is.
or you go to the treasure box. So my thing is, we were raised on validation for the good things that we do. So you imagine we get grades until we finish college because you're right about grades. And you want us to stop wanting validation because now we 25, now we 36, now we 37. What? That doesn't make any sense. Insecurities are real. My thing is, if you are having an issue with something or you feel insecure about something, it is your responsibility to address it. But believe me, there's not a woman on this earth, a man on this earth that does not have some type of insecurities. I don't care if you are the Buddha. I don't care if you're the priest and the pastor at the biggest church. There is something that bothers you. And my thing is the fact that we constantly act like that's an issue and we can't talk about it, or we do this thing where we're defensive or we want to tear people apart. I do not like that. I will walk out of a space, and this is going to sound real simple. If I feel like you are not a kind person and your words are not kind enough, I will leave your ass where you are. Like, we're not
Mm,
doing that. Like, like there's something about, so there's a phrase that I love. Like, what do you call honesty without compassion?
brutal honesty,
Cruelty. It is
cruelty.
cruel to be brutally honest with people and not do it with compassion. It's like, okay, good story. I had a friend. She was literally getting her doctorate from a school here, Billy Big School. Really, I mean, amazing opportunity. She was getting ready to, go in. We were already downtown, already parked. There was no going back home. She goes, "How do I look? You look amazing, boo. Let's do this." Her mom goes, "Why did you wear that skirt? Oh my gosh, you got to walk across the stage with that skirt on." What the hell did being honest in that moment do? Not a damn thing. Like, it's
Create
sorry.
some
I'm
insecurities.
over. Sorry. What did being honest in that moment do?
Nothing.
Benefit.
Then no benefit at all. It just made you more anxious, probably.
And I'm looking at her mother like, are you kidding me? Like, that did not, that was cruel. So when I say honesty without compassion is cruelty, it's not necessary. We think this thing, like, I'm actually a very honest person. But what I am not going to do is I'm not going to dim your light. I'm not going to make you feel bad in a situation we can't do anything about. If I'm not giving you a solution, I'm pretty much going to keep my mouth closed. So everybody in my life knows if you're not coming to me with solutions, don't bring it. It ain't necessary.
So you sit thinking, like, let's say, I guess it's not really her truth, but it's just her opinion of not saying your opinion, even if it's perceived negative, because it could. Do you think that took her out the moment of her?
It definitely took her out the moment. And by the time after she graduated, we were at dinner. She took her out the moment, and there was nothing I could do at that moment to salvage it. So, like, my thing is, we got a lot of, like, people in our community that are now doing this brutally honest approach to life and people, and I hate it. Like, and hate is a strong word. I hate it because it doesn't help. I do think honesty, when you pair it with compassion or you pair honesty with solutions, then it's okay. But if you're just being brutally honest and you ain't giving nothing else, then what's the point?
Yeah, like, or so you think people should give? I understand you have what they say, what do they call it? Criticism, right? And they say advice without you ask for what is criticism. So you do think they should, if the person cares enough, they're going to ask you, right?
Yeah.
And you think you should hold your breath until they ask you, or should I just say it ahead of time? How
I
I feel.
I think it's always situational. So my thing is I let my intentions lead how I deal with people. And I know we all talk about being intentional, but I'm intentional with my words. Um,
Hmm.
I think it just depends on the situation. But my thing is, I think because I come from the mental health field and we don't talk about this enough, I always think first, do no harm. Like I know that sounds like really simple, but do no harm. Like if I think that my words are gonna harm you and not help you, and I don't have a way to at least be intentional about helping you, then you ain't get it. If her shirt ugly, let her shirt be ugly. If her shoes ugly, let her shoes be ugly. What's the difference? My
I'm just saying, but celebrities wear ugly stuff all the time.
Yeah,
I'm just saying they wear whole football outfits outside. Everything be trash, and we be like, oh, but that's them
yeah.
because they're rich, because their money validates them, I guess.
Yeah, I think we do this thing, not we, because I don't. I think we are at a very interesting place right now where we are pushing mental health narratives, but we also have these brutally honest people that are overly critiquing others. And I think what happens is, like you were at the summit, like I think people are really afraid to start because they're so afraid of criticism. Like if you are like, my thing is, you but I think it's also your responsibility to figure out how to be depth of something. I actually had a situation, and
Mm,
some there's something to me I didn't like, and
mm.
I took it. I was polite in my response, and I was talking to my sister, and she was like, "Consider the source." I'm like, bet. Let me write that down. Consider the source. Like we need to create a list. Like when people are saying things, that you got to. There's probably three things you need to do, but one of them is consider the source. Like my thing is when people can't see where you're going, they criticize it. When people want to box you in, they criticize you. When people want to humble you, because I'm not a fan of the word humble. When people want to humble you, they say things that begin to try to minimize what you're doing.
So why aren't you a fan of the word humble?
You see my face?
Hmm.
What's the definition of humble? You know the definition of humble?
Now off the back.
Oh, I'm gonna tell it to you. I know it, but I don't want to mess it up. Let me give me 30 seconds. Let me give you the humble definition. What is the definition of humble? Humble, having or showing modest or low estimate of one's own importance, a low ranking politically or in society.
Mm.
It
I
is
want to be
okay for
that.
us to have humility. It is not okay for us to be humble. It's not. And I think sometimes what we do, sometimes we think that, okay, because someone says a word means something else. But usually when people tell you to humble yourself, they mean sit down and shut up. They want you to get in line. I've never heard someone say, hey, you need to humble yourself and it be in a positive way.
You know what? People been using different terms on me, right? When I got people, when I, so I'm I'm a goofball, right? Goofball, having fun all the time, and I do have businesses. But sometimes when people are so close to you, they don't know how to take you. They know you're human, right? So they don't know how to take you seriously. And sometimes they don't believe in themselves so much that they start not to believe in you.
Ooh.
And what I've seen is they'll be like, "Oh well, stop power tripping." That's the main one I hear. But usually the people who say that are the people who feel powerless.
I
Like the
agree.
people who say you're power tripping usually feel powerless.
I agree. Like again, like I said a second ago, consider the source. I think in order to do big, in order for me to do the things that I'm doing, in order
Hmm.
to continue to grow, I gotta wake up with confidence on 10. I gotta wake up with feeling like I can conquer the world. When DHL tell me my stuff stuck in customs, I gotta be able to pivot and say, okay, let me figure out, okay, what's the issue? VAT. Well, damn. I need to get a VAT form. Okay, let me figure out how I do that. I cannot operate in a place where I am doubting everything I do. I cannot operate in a place where I'm modest or think low of my importance to be able to do the major things that I want to do. And you can't either. There's not a
Yep.
person on here that can think low of themselves and get the things done. Them big dreams you have in your head, ain't no way you're gonna be able to get there if you think low of yourself. You got to be confident in what you're doing. Like my thing is, you can be like sometimes you're gonna be confident and wrong, but it's okay because sometimes I'm confident and wrong, and I'm okay with that.
All right, so with confidence, this is why I was reading the book more. I went little steps ahead, and I like when it was talking about like identity because I think you can only really be confident if you know your identity.
Ooh, so the book, there's a whole section on literally the whole book is about bringing together the concept of who are you. So like
Mm-hmm.
like seriously, it's one of the questions that I wrestled with for a very long time. People always say, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?" And it's not that it's not that you're a mother. It's not that you're somebody's son. Like literally, who you are is a sum of many things. It's your relationships. It's the choices that you make. It's everything that's happened to you and everything that you're trying to do. And what happens to most of us, we get stuck because we haven't reconciled these things together. We're looking at one particular part of our life and we're not looking at everything else. Even though everything does, it's a paradox. So everything affects everything else. Your friends affect the choices you make. The friends that you have are a part of where you came from or the lack thereof. So everything is connected, but identity is literally all of those things in one.
Mm.
Is I am the daughter of someone that's serving 20 years in prison. I'm also the daughter of a woman that has had an amazing career. I am the sister of a special need. My sister, I'm a sibling of someone with Williams syndrome. I'm a business owner. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm someone that struggles with anxiety. I am someone that did not do well in high school, but did great in college. Like all of those things are a part of my identity. I think one of the things that we need to literally spend more time on figuring out how we elevate our identities. How do we build on who we are? Not become somebody else, but how do we use everything that's happened to us, all of our relationships, to create the best version of ourselves? Because we used to use that term a lot, I think in 2020, the best version of ourselves. But I guess we stopped at some points. I haven't heard it lately. But literally, that's what this is all about. Becoming the best. Like, how can I become the best Jessica at this very moment? And then the next thing to keep elevating.
Mm. So
We
you
so
definitely answered my question. You definitely answered that one. So experiences shape your identity, right? So what experiences have shaped your identity? What's some major points in your life that just that that created you and created that structure in you and then create your identity?
Okay, I give you four. I give you four and only four. One, my father was sentenced to life in prison on my 16th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
That shaped my identity. Um, what else? I'm trying to think of three or four. I got a couple, but I'm like, look, now I'm being selective. I'm talking about transparency, but I'm being selective. Growing up as a sibling of someone with special needs. Well, I have a sibling. She is 35. My sister.
Mm-hmm.
She has Williams syndrome, and she's grown up beside my kids, and now she's getting older. And I think her life is constantly having an impact on where I am and how I identify. So I identify as someone that is a nurturer, but I was always I had no choice. Like when you're the oldest sibling over someone that really does need support all the time, you like it's like literally ingrained in me. I think another experience that has literally shaped who I am and how I see the world is I got pregnant with my daughter my first year of college.
Wow.
My husband have been together since high school. I am
Oh,
a man that has literally everything he promised, he has done.
that's
So the way
that's
I
a
see
big deal. From high school too.
everybody else,
That's a
um,
lot. That's a loaded one. Like it's so much that can deter you. And when you're growing up at that young age, and you're together that long, you're not the same person in 10 years. You two different people. I guess
it's
y'all just
work,
chose
but
your work. Y'all chose to love each other. So
it
that's
is work.
dope.
When you find somebody that's rocking with you, I mean, like pregnant the second time, and I gotta go to a class that's 2 hours away. You get off work, you drive me to school, you sleep in the car while I'm in class, and wait till I get out. 2, 3 days a
Oh,
week.
damn. That's
Now
love.
we rocking. So but again, there's somebody else who get on the same thing and ask those same questions. I had a heartbreak. I had a guy that stole this, did that, and that their perception is different. I realized like perception, and we talk about that in the book, like perception is everything. And I think the last thing that I would say shapes my identity is my wins. If something I can think back to when I was 15, 16, having to leave the school of the arts. I left. It was just a crazy experience. and then I won National Scholastic, had to go to DC. Um, Literally, I remember my dad got sentenced, and I was just in a really bad funk. And then I got to do this thing with Model UN with mock trials. I can literally pinpoint if something bad happens to me, something else came in the way to give me a win. I won something, I learned something, I got to be a part of something, and that that is part of my identity. I'm gonna always win. May not always look like it. I may not win at everything, but in the end, I'm gonna win.
You're gonna win in the end.
I'm gonna win.
It's marathon, right?
Yep.
All right. So, what is Williams syndrome or
So
disease? I'm
similar,
sorry.
it's okay. It is similar to Down syndrome. They actually look alike, but you don't see it a lot, so you wouldn't notice it
Mm-hmm.
unless you know. She has a heart defect. She got all the attitude of a 35-year-old brown girl, though, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She will give you all the attitude in the world, but she can't do things on her own. Like she can bathe herself and things like that. But the cognitive ability to be able to drive, maintain like an intimate relationship, doing those things, taking care of herself 100%, she won't ever be able to do that.
Mm.
So I told her like the other day because my mom was in Georgia. So when I was in Atlanta, I was like, Christine, when we rich, what you want? And she was like, I think I want a gumball machine in my room, like with some like, like a big gumball machine. I was like, man, come on. And my other sister was like, come on, literally dream big, think big. You're thinking too small. And she was like, I want to meet Chris Brown. And I'm like, but we can do that now. Pick something bigger. So she loves to color. She is the life of a party. She's never met a stranger. She One of the things with Williams syndrome is one of the defects is in their heart. So the inside your heart, there's two layers. So there's like a bag around another bag. Well, her
Mm-hmm.
interior bag is the best way for me to explain it. Her interior bag has a hole. So her interior bag leaks to the outer bag. So she goes to the cardiologist like every 6 months. Um, she's like, I literally do a special needs prom in my city every
Mm-hmm.
year. I've done that for 12 years. So I give back to the special needs community every year, and that's my give back. Like that's my don't touch it, don't bother it. Y'all don't need y'all all in it. That's like my thing. I got like all the schools in my area. Everybody knows who I am, but that's like I bring the urban appeal to a prom. This is like the thing I created for my sister. So we have the DJ from the hip hop radio station, and they party all night. I mean, they be sweating out their clothes. It's like one of them hole in the wall clubs. Is how we set it up.
That's
Um,
dope.
we do once a year. The
That's
second,
amazing. I'm starting to wonder how you got all this time, but you
I,
know,
I
a
bet
little
me
skeptical on this. You got like a clone.
it don't work like that. Like I think like I literally there are days when I lay in my bed looking at my ceiling. It you know what? It's not that you have to do something, but you just have to do something. Like if you do one thing every day that you've done 365 somethings. I think people are so overwhelmed by I have to do 50 things a day. No, you gotta do one thing today. And you gotta do one thing tomorrow. You gotta do one thing the day after. How many days have you gone without doing anything? I don't know. I may steal out my ceiling, but I'm gonna send an email. I'm gonna research something. I'm gonna do something. Like I do something every day. It's not that I literally take time off. I just do. I don't know. It's the energy. I just gotta do something.
Yo, I won't. I got as long as I get my naps in the middle of the day, I can do a lot. That's how I feel.
Suckers.
I need my 12. I need my 12 p.m.s. Yeah, I miss working at home. When I used to work at home, I used to take 12 p.m.s naps all the time.
Why'd you go back? You had to go back.
My job didn't care about race, and it was very it was one of those situations that they was getting real racist in there. I was like the only black person in like the corporate field. It felt like I was the third black person, right? I was at one point I was a secondary black person, but
I
but
know what
now
you.
I went to third in the the corporate place of like 500 people. I was the only Jamar.
Look,
So
I
it was it
Jessica.
was something when the George Floyd happened, all the riots happened. They showed no compassion, but everything else they was like, "Oh, we're sorry this happened." You know what I mean? They did not care at all. People, families were dying. They did not care at all. As long as you help with business. And my boss, what he did was this, right? That's what I knew it was over. He was trying. So we have a sales competition for the pools and stuff like that. We had a sales competition. I won it, but he said, "Yo, to make it so we all sell more, let's decrease the shipping margin." So I was like, "All right, we decrease the shipping margin." So what he was doing is he was picking a few people to try to like get in trouble for decreasing the shipping margin. And he's not my direct manager, but he's one of the managers. And he sends it over to the GMs like, "Hey, guys had low shipping margins." But you're telling this to the guy who won the contest and just sold like close to $2 million worth of aftermarket pool parts to people. I'm just saying. And at that point, I was disgusted, and I'm like, "Yo, you really just trying to survive?" I wasn't gonna get fired. I just lost all trust in management. It's not even about like the job. It's about you lost my trust.
No, I get it. I think I don't know. I think I feel for the person that has to go into a job every day that they hate. Like I have a client that I'm working with. She's a writer. Like so, I work with I do developmental writing, and she hates her job. I'm like, but you know what? Find peace in the fact that it's not forever. Like when you get out there, you should be excited about getting home to work on this book so you get the hell up out there. Like literally, if the goal is like my thing is you can go into work happy because in the back of your mind you should be thinking, I'm about to leave your asses. This ain't look, I'm buying my freedom right now. That should be the thought when you walk into these places. My thing is, I know what it's like to love where I work. I know what it's like to hate where I work. And with the company I was working for, it went back and forth depending on the director that we had. The person that said the thing that made me quit, I actually liked her.
Mm,
I actually did a lot. I wish she wouldn't have unfriended me on Facebook, but it's okay.
damn.
She'll catch me on the billboards later. Something. She'll see me somewhere. But I actually liked working with her. I felt like she did care. But she would she cared. So we work with kids primarily foster care, in and out families. I felt like she cared about the families, but it was at the detriment of the people that worked for her. So she
Yeah, I see what you're
figured out
saying.
how to take care of both. So
Yeah, I think that's what's going on in my job. I'm in human resources, but quite honestly, that's what's going on in my job. We're at a company that's like we're at like a it's where you're buying your school supplies at. That's the company. So we're in a fulfillment center. It's like 1,200 people there, right? And we're getting drained. We're getting hit with all this negativity all day. And people call us to learn how to do reports. People call us to learn how to do all these things, but we don't have anyone to call on. And as soon as we say something to the person, the boss, they like don't care about our feelings. So we all are aware they don't care. So at this point, we're all like, whatever. Whenever you're trying to say something, like, oh, I appreciate. No, you don't. Like if you don't show your action, you appreciate your team, then you don't appreciate us. Everyone else in the building, team wise, has had activities to boost team morale, everything. But for us, nothing. So I'm just saying, like, I know how it feels to hate your job. But I like what I do, but I hate my job, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I think people just I don't know. I think
I just don't I'm a leadership person. So the leadership is booty. I really don't like it.
I don't
So
know. It becomes one of those things where it's like one thing I realized any job I've ever had in my life, I've always been able to figure out how to go up, even if it
mhm.
was unintentional. If I'm at the hotel, started in guest services, when I left there, I was HR coordinator, started in government contracting, I was an analyst, I was a contracts manager by the time I left. I went into mental health, I was a behavior interventionist, I left as a director of training. I think, but I one thing, so I say that to say this if there's something that you don't have at your job that y'all need, create it. That's how I people don't always appreciate it, but I can promise you that was the reason I was able to pivot in every position. I always provided something that made my team better. If I was
Mm.
working at the front desk, guest services behind the scenes, but I'm literally motivating everybody. I was actually the paper pusher for a while. We got a lot of foreigners that work there. One woman working on getting her franchise stuff together. I did paperwork for her. Another girl, lady, a Hispanic woman that works with us, she got to get her kid enrolled in school. I'm doing paperwork. That stuff was not my job, but it helped me to pivot to the next thing. Working in government contracting, I literally was helping the actual contracts manager. I could read a lot in a little bit of time, believe it or not, and comprehend. So I was helping her go through RFPs. So it helped me move. So my thing is the thing that your job needs is where you need to see if you can move in that direction. Go ahead and start providing and see what happens.
It's
Provide.
been good. So what I've done, my chief, I used to be just a warehouse worker, believe it or not. I came back from COVID. I was like, I'm just gonna get a simple job. I'm trying to make this my last job. That was my whole thing. I was like, I'm just gonna get a simple warehouse job. But I got promoted like 3 or 4 times in like a 8 month span. So
Okay.
I don't have any like school for HR at all.
But that means you know how to do it. You know how to take care of people. My team
Yeah, and
is the heart of whatever business we're working for. So that is the hub for taking care of people. So like you probably already doing it anyway. So just keep doing it. You'll keep moving up. That guy that you feel like is not giving your team what you need, you ready to be him?
absolutely. I'm actually going to HR management class right now. I'm gonna have my certificate by next summer. I'm gonna use the information to help build my business. So I'm using my information. I'm getting like transferable skills for my business, for podcasting, for everything. That way I can go out.
You got to, because my thing is anything that you're gonna grow, you're gonna have to manage people.
Hmm.
You're gonna have to manage people. I had a personal an executive assistant a couple months after I left my job. She lasted 3 months and it did not go. You gotta learn how to manage people. And then you also gotta know when you're done with people when they just need to go. Like you think about, when you're done with somebody, even in regular relationships that aren't working, like we know when we're done with people, but we drag it out for 2, 3 months just to see what's gonna happen. We got to stop doing that.